Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 2 of the GeN1 podcast. And as always, I'm the host with the most because I'm fat. I'm Gage.
I'm Nicky.
And he's Nicky. And let's just jump right in. Last week we talked about a little bit of the 16-bit era because he made it sound like you played a lot of Genesis. I played a lot of SNES. And what's next? Not Sega's next system because that wasn't that great. But we're going to jump into the N64.
Not to get really into it, I liked my Sega Saturn. I really did.
Well, somebody did. So that's
exactly. I was the only one.
You were the one fan of the Sega Saturn.
But to one of the best systems of all time, one of the greats of our childhood, growing up in the mid-early 90s, the Nintendo 64.
So, when did you get your N64?
You see, we were so young, I don't remember the exact time, but I think it was about Christmas time.
Yeah, I don't remember mine exactly either, so you're good.
Okay, I got the system, I got an extra controller, and I got 2 games. I got Super Mario 64, and I got Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Interesting. See, I'm not much of a Star Wars fan. I never really got those games except one. What do you do in that game?
It's a action game, but you can also drive. You don't get to jump in vehicles, but you can control vehicles. The opening level, and this is one of the smartest ideas they ever did, was they put you at the Battle of Hoth, which was for you, because you don't know,
well,
is the opening.
Many people who probably aren't Star Wars fans, so it'll be good for all of us.
Okay, it's the opening battle in Empire Strikes Back with all the snow.
Okay.
So you get to control a snow speeder and fight off the big turtle walkers, and that's how you open the game. One of the strongest game openings ever. And then they went and made it 10 times better for the Rogue Squadron games, but that's a completely different episode.
Exactly.
But it was a fun game. It was a little action game where you get to run around. It's a side story to the movie event, so you're not playing as a movie character. You're playing as this guy, Dash Rendar, and you're going around doing your own thing.
Okay. And what was the other game you said?
Oh, just Super Mario 64.
Just Super Mario 64.
I don't think we really have to go deep into Super Mario 64, buddy.
What did you think of it? When you started playing, what did you think of it?
I never got terribly into it. I'm not even gonna lie. Gage is about to kick me out of his house.
Come on, man. That is one of the best games ever, and that's not even me. I've taken my nostalgia shades off. I've replayed it. I just 100%ed it at the, I think 10th anniversary or 15th anniversary, something a couple years back. And it is just so great. I love it because you jumping from side, we had for the 16-bit era for Mario, we had Super Mario World, and that was great.
I'd rather play that game than play Super Mario 64.
Oh, God, that's just killer. That was a lot of fun, and I love Super Mario World, but it's just this huge world, and it's such a huge leap. We're not really going to get a leap like that anymore. I think from 16-bit to 64 was, the biggest leap, because that's from pretty much everything that was 2D to, all these 3D games, and mini games like Bubsy, Earthworm Jim. Those weren't...
Ooh, don't put those two in the same sentence, you asshole. Earthworm Jim was phenomenal.
Yeah, until he became 3D. And then that and Bubsy 3D.
I can't disagree with that.
They were both pretty bad. But Mario did it amazingly. I love it. What you can do now, I only, of course, emulate when I own the game. Of course.
Of course.
Of course. And... that being said, there's texture packs, so you can change the whole texture of the walls and what the paintings look like. So when I 100%ed it a couple years ago, I did that and it looks so cool. It's so much more colorful and makes the enemies look different.
That sounds like we'd...
Yeah, I'll have to show you.
Oh, yeah, please
I'll have to show you because it's definitely really cool. If I remember, I'll put a link to the video showcasing it in the description. But man, that was one of the first, if not the first N64 game I remember. Like I had mentioned before, we had gone to a friend of ours. We don't really talk to the guy that much anymore, but I remember my mom picking me up from his house because he would always get the systems right away. His parents had money, and I'm like, Mom, do you see this? And she's like, oh, okay, so this is what you want. I'm like, yes, because Mario 64, having 120 stars and there's secret stars and all that, there was just so much to explore, and then you beat the game, and you're like, oh my god, there's 120, because once you beat Bowser, he's like, oh, did you get all 120 stars? And you're like, there's 120, as a kid. And eventually I got the player's guide, because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to find all these stars just by walking around, but that was definitely, I would have to say, I guess, the biggest N64 game I played when it comes to the ones that I liked.
What about the Star Wars game you mentioned? You said there was a Star Wars game you
Pod Racer.
Really?
That's what it was called, correct? Just
Pod Racer? Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer, I think, was the full title.
Okay, and I know that all my friends always make a comment about it because it's one of the few N64 games I still have. I assume I have my N64 somewhere.
Every time I go up in your room, that fucking cartridge is sitting somewhere on your floor.
Yeah.
I think he just looks at it before he goes to bed. Normal people have teddy bears. Gage has an N64 cartridge.
I guess I have an N64 cartridge. And that's just so much fun, because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, as I said. But the way you can customize it, and the races were really fun, and there were secrets in that, too. And that whole game was amazing. I mean, I haven't played it in forever, so I definitely have to go back and check it out. Did you ever play it?
I rented it from Blockbuster once, but I never owned it. Okay. I remember cheating and unlocking all the racers because I wanted to just try it out, but I never got it.
That's what you always do, man. If you guys obviously don't know him, but some of you will. And he always cheats. He's like, oh, I'll just put in the codes. I'm like, no, that takes everything away from the game.
I haven't done that since they made it that you couldn't do that.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
I beat my games fairly now.
Yeah.
That I can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just...
that one is marked highly as far as licensed games.
I don't even know why I own it. Because, like I said, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I didn't ask for it. I don't remember who got it for me. I literally don't remember the origin of how I got that game at all. But
you played the shit out of it, right?
Oh, yeah. And the game I do remember an origin of was Banjo Tooie. Now, I never played Banjo Kazooie. Did you ever play both of them?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I eventually, down the road, played Banjo Kazooie.
We were discussing this a little bit more before we recorded, but I agree with you that I like Banjo Tooie more than I liked Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that yet, but like he said,
we discussed that before we recorded.
Exactly. But yeah, he is 100% right. I feel that Banjo Tooie outshines Kazooie way better because all the worlds are connected by this big train that eventually you have to get Mumbo to lift it up and get it going, and that's cool in itself. But the fact that there's little side things like, oh, you gotta get some hamburgers and cheeseburgers and fries from Witchy World and bring it over to these cavemen so they eat. And they're like, blah, 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 blah. And
that was my favorite level in the game. Was that carnival level? I will remember that.
I can buy cheeseburgers in real life and in the game. Yes.
Damn it, you fuck.
And I just thought that was so cool that you'd find a little exit and it would lead you back to the Tyrannosaurus level. I don't remember what it was called. And I thought that was just so cool. Did you own either?
I did. I had both of them. I used to play the shit out of them. I actually played more of Banjo Tooie because that one had cheats and I just unlocked everything.
Yep, it does have cheats. You are a cheaty fuck. You don't even have to, in the game, there's Cheeto pages which you collect, and that it gives you the code so that you can go type it in and it activates it. But you don't need to collect the pages. So I just picture him going and buying
Tips and Tricks magazine, bitches.
And
Rest
just
in peace, Tips and Tricks. Pouring out for my Tips and Tricks.
I love that website. I love that magazine because at the end, there was this little puzzle, and
my grandma she would take my Tips and Tricks and she would do those puzzles. She's like, can I do your puzzles when you're done with your magazine?
I think Nintendo originally did. I think it's like Picross. is what it's called now. There was a Game Boy game also called like Mario's Picross or something, and it was like the same thing. I'm like, oh, that is so cool. And I mean, of course, I always bought the magazine for because I love the tips too. But like, it's pretty much, other than the articles, you're pretty much buying the same magazine over and over because it's pretty much all the same tricks. Like every once in a while they'll add a couple new games that came out. But
and then you would get the code book and it's just the magazine with the strategy guides taken out of it.
Exactly. But I still bought that too. God, I was a huge. Did you collect a lot of magazines as a kid?
Yeah.
I had like Beckett's magazine, which was like all the for like trading cards, so Pokemon and that kind of stuff.
I had one for Pokemon. I had one for Dragon Ball Z. And I had a lot of toy magazines, and I had Tips and Tricks, Game Pro, Game Informer. Oh God, I could go on.
Jesus.
Well, my uncle worked at Quad Graphic.
Okay.
So he'd be like, "Oh, here's a game and magazine for my nephew."
Nice. See, I never had subscriptions to any other than like Nintendo Power. But like when I'd go out, I would go and be like, "Mom, buy me Tips and Tricks." Like, okay, and because we'd go to Blockbuster and they'd always have tips and tricks there, and back they would also have like players guides and stuff. And I literally have, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but when me and my cousin had cleaned out my room, we were working to like really reorganize my room. I found a milk crate filled from like bottom to top of Tips and Tricks, Nintendo Power, Beckett's.
Do you still have them?
I do. I'll show you at the end of this. Because I was such a huge, I just loved them. They were so much fun. And I still love magazines. The fact that, and it literally, I know people are gonna make me sound like a bitch, but I literally almost cried when they're like, no more Nintendo Power. And
that was the end of an era.
I know, and that's why I'm almost willing to pay like the extra $40 a year because Nintendo of Europe still makes their magazine, and I'm a member. I like their page on Facebook, and I wanna pay the subscription fee, but it's so expensive. It's like $65 a year or something, which really, when you think about it, isn't that bad for like 12 magazines. But that's still a lot more than their average $15 a month when we were a kid, and now $20 a year. I don't know if I said month or year before, but $20 a year.
It's okay.
For Nintendo Power, and I literally was so sad when that was over because I'm such a huge, not even just a Nintendo fan, but I just love gaming, and I still get Game Informer because I'm a Plus member or whatever at GameStop, which I think is cool that they do it, that they give you a free mix, and I'm like, cool. I don't always read the whole thing. I'll skim through it and that kind of stuff. But
Game Informer was always a really good magazine.
I still really enjoy it. I mean, I just got an issue a couple days ago, and I like that it talks about indie games. Like, not a lot of magazines do, because I never got, like, PlayStation or Xbox magazine or anything, because I was never one of those. I was always a Nintendo guy. But
Official Xbox magazine did a really good job as far as showcasing other games.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was reading some articles, and they were talking about some indie games that you could play.
But I'd assume you could buy them on Xbox.
Yeah, but I think you could get them on PC, too. Because it's from Microsoft, so it's like, oh, well, here's the PC section.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're only going to showcase games that are coming out for their system, but they weren't... They would talk about, like, how kick-ass Metroid was. Like, they weren't one of those that denied the existence of anything that came before it.
That's super cool. That's cool that they did that. But, well, we're kind of straying off the path here.
Yeah, how the hell did we get to gaming magazines?
Right.
Anyway.
But Banjo Tooie, I remember a similar situation hanging out with the kid that we both don't talk too much anymore. And he would always play, and I would sit and I'm like, this game is so cool. And then eventually I got it. And it's just so much fun. It's and for those who obviously, I guess, somebody probably never played it. It's a platformer, adventure kind of thing, and you play as Banjo, a big bear, and you play
his buddy Kazooie,
his little buddy Kazooie in his backpack,
a bird,
and oh God, I was gonna correct you because it's a certain type of bird, but I can't think of it right now. That's gonna bug me.
Ha ha.
And Yeah, and I'm really sad that Rare doesn't make any more of those. Like the last one was Nuts and Bolts.
We don't talk about that one, Gage. I don't know what nuts and what? Oh, you're silly. You're silly.
And I guess Microsoft now is saying that they have free range to create another one, but everyone who made the original games are gone. And like I had mentioned to you the other day, there originally was Minji Jingo, I think was what it was called, and it was the original team. They were separated from Rare, and along with Grant Kirkhope, who does all the music, which the music for that game is still some of my favorite music ever.
Rare had some of the best music in all their games.
And Grant made almost all of them. He didn't. I don't think he did the whole soundtrack for Conker's Bad Fur Day.
He didn't do anything with Conker. If that's him, right?
Correct, that is him. That's what I thought. Because I think
he was the one that Game Grumps interviewed, right?
That's what I was about to bring up.
Okay, yeah, that was the one.
And I think that's what he said. Yeah, that he didn't do that one. Which the music was still good, but I still think Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie,
greatest game of all time.
And we'll talk about Conkers in a minute. Relax.
Conker gets its whole episode, okay?
Yeah. What about a whole episode devoted to its Xbox part, right? That one too? Yeah, that's what I thought. You try. And yeah, I mean, they were gonna make a spiritual successor, and just recently, I guess it fell apart, and that's really disappointing. There's a game that was kickstarted. Luckily, it made all the money, called A Hat in Time, which is, not necessarily a spiritual successor, but in the same vein
as Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, but in the same vein as like kind of a big collectathon, like Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo Kazooie. You're going around collecting things, and I love those kind of games. Like, it's definitely one of my favorite genres. Not so much like Spyro. The first Spyro game is very collectathon-y, but they force you to do it. I
liked Spyro, man. I liked Spyro a lot. I think I played all the three that came out for PlayStation, but my favorite was the second one.
Okay. Yeah, next week is when we'll be talking about PlayStation, so we'll get more into Spyro then. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many great games. Mario Kart 64, I thought that's where that game originated, until later I found out there was a version for the Super Nintendo.
I had the Super Nintendo version, but I never played it.
I never even knew it was a thing, and then I'm like, cool. And then I look back, at like when I was like 13 or something, I'm like, there was one for the Super Nintendo? And I didn't know that, because all anybody ever played was Mario Kart 64.
That battle mode was great.
Oh, I know. I assume you've seen this, and a lot of people know. Did you hear originally one of the characters was going to be a Magic Koopa?
Yes! I did know that.
Whoa, you're like, yes, I did! I did know this!
They show a picture of him in like an old advertisement.
Something like that, and I think it was, Donkey Kong that, I think then they decided to put Donkey Kong in his spot instead. And I still, to this day...
It's either him or Wario. Probably Donkey Kong.
I'm thinking Donkey Kong, but it doesn't matter.
I don't remember.
And to this day, Magic Koopa's still not a character. I don't think he's in the new one, which is pretty awesome, though, as that comes out.
Kamek's my homie.
Yeah? Is he? You guys go for drinks on Tuesdays?
We do. We throw shapes at bitches. It's great.
Oh, my God. PlayStation button things. It's great, like, boom. You ever notice that? When he would shoot something, it was in the shape of the PlayStation buttons. I'll have to show you a picture, but it's a circle.
Or a triangle.
Shapes. But in the same position, a triangle, a circle, a square, and an X.
Is it in the same positions?
Yeah. It might not, because it spins when it goes, but it's those exact, like, 4 things.
Head explosion!
Whoosh, mind blown.
But you mentioned Donkey Kong 64 before?
Yeah.
One of the best games that came out on that system.
Now, before we get into that, there's a guy who, Swordless Link, who I've brought up to you, and he does a lot of speed running, and he's currently doing a glitch run of Banjo Tooie, where he's showing all these super glitches and being able to skip levels and use clockwork eggs to shoot through the little seams in between the graphics and being able to cheat. And he, he says, and I've played it recently, so I kind of disagree, I kind of agree. He feels like a lot of people see that Donkey Kong 64 is amazing because they still haven't played it as adults. Now, I assume you haven't, to be honest.
No, I haven't, and I want to see where this goes, so continue.
I played it a couple years ago. I didn't get to beat it because my laptop died, and I'm gonna still try to get my saves from it. I mean, I beat it as a kid, but I was replaying it on my laptop, and it was definitely still fun, but not as much as I remember it being, because it's just like, oh. And then there was this one thing. There's races in the game if you remember.
There's races?
Like Lanky has to race on his hands.
Well, right. I don't remember having to do that.
And Tiny races like a ladybug. And if anyone who remembers will tell you, Tiny racing the ladybug or whatever is the worst thing ever. I played it for like 4 hours using like slow mode.
Oh, were you doing fraps and all that?
No, fraps is a recording thing. But
I thought that was a
no, it's alright.
Element.
No,
okay.
Yeah, I was trying to use slow mode and slow it down, and I still couldn't do it. I'm like, damn, I abused save states hoping that would help, and I just couldn't do it. Made me so mad. But that game still definitely is fun, just not as fun as Banjo Tooie is. And maybe Banjo Kazooie, I don't remember, I haven't played Banjo Kazooie as soon as I played Banjo Tooie. But did you own Donkey Kong 64 as well?
Yes.
As you guys can tell, we're rather big Rare fans.
Rare and Rockstar, I like my R names, are probably my two favorite game studios of all time. Greatest of all time!
And, yeah, I mean, I played a lot of Rare games. I only recently had played Conker's Bad Fur Day when you suggested it, because I never played it.
I remember that. I can remember the conversation we had, me trying to get you to play that frickin' game.
And I never played it as a kid, because it was, like, rated, and I couldn't rent it, and I was like, it's probably gonna, like, I don't know. And you're a huge fan. Tell me about it. Tell me what you love about it.
I remember the hype leading up to that game. And just being so excited for it, and all the movie references. Even the strategy guide was funny. I had the official Nintendo strategy guide, and it was written like it was a travel guide in the world. But probably the greatest thing about that game is that it's making fun of itself, because Rare made all those, collectathon games and all that shit, right? There's none of that in Conker. It's just a straight up game. It looks like a child's game, but plays like a hard adult game.
I disagree. It plays like a kid's game, but the content in the game is very adult. Like, it's still like the same Donkey Kong 64. You're jumping around, collecting things, but, the content, there's a sunflower with titties, there's, the Great Mighty Pooh, big poop monster, which is really funny.
Favorite boss. I'm not going to do the voice again, don't worry. That is probably my favorite boss ever, aside from some Metal Gear bosses.
I can see why. I remember that was one of the last things I did before I stopped playing, but
I can still sing that song.
Don't.
With T. I'm not going to.
Let's not do that.
But there, you know what? I think it's right after you beat him that it's one of the hardest parts in the game, where you have to swim through the fans. Yeah. That is hard. That is like an adult game hard.
I would disagree, because there's definitely a lot of hard things, like I just mentioned in Donkey Kong 64, and certain things in Banjo Tooie. It's hard. I never had a problem with it. I remember people having problems. Like, I remember going online and watching people play it, and I remember, another Let's Player I like, Nintendo Capri Sun, and if I remember correctly, he played the game blind, so he was like, what is this game? And,
he had no idea what he had going into it?
Funny enough, as everyone who's probably listening knows, we're from Wisconsin. He's from Neenah, Wisconsin, which is just like up a bit, and he's like, I wouldn't say like 1 million subscribers, but he's got at least a couple 100,000, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I remember, I'm pretty sure he had a problem with that too.
But the charm in that game is why I feel like I'll hold it so fondly.
It's just really funny too,
I didn't laugh at a game like I did until I played that one. And since I've played games that, that's funny, or that's neat. Nothing as hard as just pissing myself in laughter.
Yeah.
Sometimes literally.
Exactly.
With Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah. And obviously that had the remake for the Xbox.
No, it didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of this Conker Live and Reloaded where they were going to call it Conker Live and Uncut, but they wouldn't let them cut out the swears and make it uncut and make it even better. And boom. I'm going to go have a cigarette. I'll come back later.
But yeah, that's disappointing. But hopefully Rare does eventually start making the games again, or hopefully I would just love for them to sell the rights to Banjo Kazooie and I guess Conker, but Nintendo probably wouldn't do much with Conker, but I know they would do stuff with Banjo and Kazooie, so I think they should just sell the rights. I love it.
I want that Conker sequel to come out because...
I mean, I know it's originally a happy-go-lucky Game Boy game, and I think that is hilarious that they're all of a sudden like, let's mix it up, and they made it like a super, just like a super raunchy game.
Well, because they were trying to make another Banjo Kazooie Donkey Kong 64 type game with Conker, but they were like, fuck this, man. We've tried making 2 different versions of it, and it's just getting boring.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's just make it as gross as possible.
Right.
And they did, and it was great.
And it was amazing. One last thing about Rare before we move on. I think it is super awesome that they, I don't remember exactly, I think like Nintendo wouldn't give them the money to finish up doing 007 GoldenEye, and so they used their own money that they made from the other games they made to continue to fund 007, I keep forgetting the name, GoldenEye, so then they used their own money to fund it because Nintendo was like, so I don't remember the whole situation. And
I know they didn't believe in it at first because...
Yeah, and then they just didn't want to fund it anymore, so they're like, well, we are finishing the game, and then it became known as like one of the best shooters ever. So I give old developer Rare definitely a lot of props.
One of my favorite games that came out was that, and...
I'm not a huge shooter, I just said, because that's what everyone says.
It's okay.
Okay.
Perfect Dark was another good one, too, because they couldn't make a sequel, so they made Perfect Dark. Phenomenal fucking game.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, we could literally sit here all day and talk about all the other games. I mean, I wanted to talk about Pokemon Stadium. Didn't really have time for that. I think it was super cool that you can transfer your Pokemon to Stadium from your Game Boy cartridges and vice versa. I think that is awesome. And that's just great. But anyways, we'll just move on from there. What have you been playing this week, Phil?
Dude, lately I got back into Hotline Miami. I found the PS3 version, and I've been playing it again.
That's what I got it. That was, like we had mentioned before last week when we did the PlayStation Plus thing. That's how I got it, because it was free with PlayStation Plus for a short period of time. And I also had it on my computer. I think I bought it for super cheap, but that's when my laptop died, so I couldn't play it. And that is a really fun game. Like, it's a game that I really wouldn't be into, but it is a lot of fun.
I didn't think you would be with how gory and everything it is, but then you're like, you know what, it is fun.
The way I see it, it's because it's really, like, half puzzle, because you have to figure how to do it. It's not like a lot of shooters you can just go in and be like,
oh no, you'll get your ass killed.
Shoot everything. And I also appreciate how it's like Super Meat Boy, where you die and you can just jump right back in.
No loading times or anything like this. If you haven't heard of Hotline Miami, which there's a good chance you haven't, it's this top-down action game. You get one hit, you're dead. Same with every other enemy. 16-bit art style. Very hard, but it's not too challenging because you can plan your attacks and everything against the enemy. Your goal is to kill all the enemies in a stage and then go to the next part of the stage.
Yeah.
Like, you'll be in, like, a giant house, and you gotta kill everybody on the bottom floor and work your way up to the top floor, etc.
And you get, like, different masks. So one mask will give you more access to more guns or more ammo.
Yeah, you're just a guy wearing a Letterman's jacket and rubber animal mask. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
Takes place in the 80s. You drive a DeLorean. If you don't know me, the people that do will be like, oh, this is like Nicky's bread and butter game.
It is, yeah. And like I said, I like it. So as much as I like it, you definitely like it way more.
Yeah. And one of the best soundtracks ever.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I wouldn't say one of the best soundtracks ever, but
get on my synth level, bro.
Because the whole time it's just like whoa, bo, 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 zing, 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 bong, bong.
Then you gotta go to that club level. That shit's so good, and you're just hacking up people with a samurai sword.
Exactly. And for a game, I'm just really so excited that I like it as much because I really, and I know you're like, oh, you wouldn't get into it. And I did, and I have a lot of fun with it. One night I just sat there and played it for hours because I'm like, because I don't remember why. I just I need to get past certain thing, and that was definitely a lot of fun. I know they're currently doing a sequel.
They are. I'm excited for that. I'm pretty sure it's all the same people.
Yeah, because I know that I think last year at E3 they pulled people aside, only certain special people pulled them aside, blindfolded them and led them to a trailer 3 or 4 miles down the road, and they all got to go in the trailer and play it and play what is Hotline Miami 2. And because they just want to keep it super secretive for some reason.
Well, that's pretty cool too, because it's because the game is this political intrigue, and you're murdering Russian mobsters, and
yeah,
it's fucked up.
Oh yeah,
it's fucked up.
But this is a game you can't really rent, so would you say
buy it
or pass on it?
Pass on it. Don't play this game. It's just not. It's not for the children. No, it's a great game. Probably my favorite indie game that came out that year.
When did you buy it? When did you get it? Did you get it when it first came out?
Yes,
or? Okay.
I bought it on Steam. Full price, and I was playing it.
And then eventually you bought it for
PS3.
For PS3, yeah, that's why I'm glad I got it for free, because, not saying it's not great, but it's just, I got to give a game a chance that I never really would have. It was on sale once for $2, and I bought it and never played it, and then my laptop broke down. Now I have this really nice laptop, and I can play it on here, but I've been playing it on the PS3, and for $10, I mean, it's always off and on sale, but even for the full price of $10, I'd say it's definitely worth a buy, if you're into those kind of games. If you're
not, look at you. You loved it.
Yeah, but it's definitely, I wouldn't have given it a chance, and if I would have never paid full price for it. I picked it up when it was on sale on Steam for $2, and then even then I still didn't play it right away until I got it for free on PS3, and I was just sitting there one day, and I'm like, oh, Nicky always talks about it, I'll have to give it a chance. But yeah, if you're into those kind of things, and even if you think, if it's on sale and you can pick it up for super cheap, definitely look into it, because there are puzzle aspects, and it's definitely worth your time. The game I've been playing is an amazing game, and I know you've played it, Binding of Isaac.
Love that game, man.
It is so much fun. Now, I made the mistake of buying the DLC before I really played the game, and the DLC, Wrath of the Lamb, it adds 25 new bosses, and whole bunch of new enemies and new items and new this and new that, but it also makes the game harder, because it also adds super big levels where you get, there's sometimes 2 bosses or this and that, and it makes it so much harder. I'm I should have given it I should have played it before I bought it, but the DLC was 84 cents, and it was on a sale for a short period of time, so I'm no, I cannot pass up on it, because I'm a cheap ass, and I like to get all my games for super cheap. That's why I bought so many bundles. As you know, I have 270 some games on Steam. Haven't played even a fourth of them, but they're there, and I'll eventually get to them all. But I like to just, if I can get it for cheap, I'll most likely buy it.
He's a silly goose, ladies and gentlemen.
I like to save money. That's what if I'm a silly goose for saving money, well then yes, I am a silly goose. But just Nicky's face, just what is going on right now? But yeah, I mean, now they're, I guess, they wanted to port it over to systems, and they decided, well, fuck it, we'll just remake it. But I've been playing the one on Steam since it came out, and it's just so great. It's a top-down kind of action-adventure video game. It's very, if you've ever played the first Legend of Zelda game, the dungeons are pretty much laid out in the same way, where there's, it's a square room, and sometimes you have to kill all the enemies to open a door, and that kind of stuff. It's also, it's kind of like a roguelike as well, but it's procedurally generated, so, it's also completely random. Every time you play the game, it will be, I wouldn't say 100% different, but it's definitely going to be really different. There's so many bosses.
Oh, yeah. If you were to die in level 1, You might not even get the same amount of rooms in level 1. It could be completely different.
Exactly, and it has the whole game's very religious in the sense where it kind of like how Kevin Smith, the director, messed around with Dogma, and he kind of took his own wing and a way to do it, and it's kind of silly and that kind of stuff, and that's kind of how this is. Created by Edmund McMillan, the same guy who made, well, he did the art for this game, I'm pretty sure. He also developed it too, but it wasn't with the other guy who worked with him on Super Meat Boy. And I know you're a huge fan of him because you're a huge Newgrounds fan.
I am. I'm a Newgrounds guy. So when he started making video games for systems, I was super excited. I remember when he made Gish years back, and that was, or he did. I think he just did art design for Gish, but from there on, I love playing the stuff that he came out with on Newgrounds. And in fact, we should probably link this. You can play a demo of Binding of Isaac on Newgrounds.
Can you?
You can.
I didn't know that.
It's the whole first level.
Okay.
So if you want to
give that like a boss, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's flat. It's based in Flash. I don't think Binding of Isaac is based in Flash.
I think it might be.
That doesn't matter. But if you want to try out Binding of Isaac, try out the Newgrounds demo.
Yeah. And it's.
I love that site, man. I always have.
Oh yeah. I mean, Binding of Isaac. It's like it's one level at a time. Completely random every time. You go and get items, beat the boss, then you go deeper into the dungeon until you face Ma, which is Isaac's mother, who's trying to kill him because God told her to. So it's kind of messed up.
Well, it's based off of the Binding of Isaac in the Bible.
Well, I know.
So,
oh
God, it's such a morbid fucking game, man.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's kind of how his style is, like.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
The fucking the dead baby dress up and shit from back in the day.
Did not know that. That's pretty fucked up. Wow.
Gage's face, because it's not like I mentioned that at all to him before.
Wow. That is pretty messed up. But now he's making eugenics, and that's like, you had mentioned something to do.
It's
like
a cat lady simulator.
Yeah, definitely. I knew that, but you said something like...
No, that's how he describes it.
Oh, well, you had mentioned something like with Pokemon, whether you collect them. I didn't know that.
No, you breed them. I think he described it like Pokemon.
Okay.
I guess he said that on his Tumblr, where he said it was kind of like his version of Pokemon.
Yes, now he's not even doing the remake. He's going to be like overseeing it. But it's being made by the same people who made the VVVV port and the Cave Story remakes. And I really like the people who did that. Their name escapes me. It's like Iaasc or something along those lines. But I mean, it's just so much fun. It's got 16-bit graphics and that kind of stuff. So if you haven't, we'll definitely leave a link to the demo in the description. What would you say? Would you say it's like a buy?
Binding of Isaac is definitely a buy.
Oh yeah, and I was definitely gonna. No matter what you said, I'd be like, buy it, because it's even less than Hotline Miami. It's $5. The DLC is like
and more content. Hotline Miami.
Oh yeah, plus the DLC. I mean, there's so many different characters and so many different ways to play. Amazing replay value. You could replay this hundreds of times and still have fun with it because it's different every time. But the DLC is like $250, I'm pretty sure. So it's like $750 for all of it. Plus, it's constantly on sale. It was just on sale for Steam for $1, which is just amazing for how much stuff you get in the game. But yeah, the composer who makes the music, Danny Baranowski. I apologize, sir, if that's not how you pronounce it, but the music is amazing. I still listen to the soundtrack.
Baranowski.
Whatever. And it's just great. So definitely go buy it if you were looking for a fun kind of roguelike mixed with Legend of Zelda Dungeons, mixed with like an action adventure, mixed with really fucked up graphics and enemies who jump out of nowhere and scare you. But yeah, so there's that.
I try out that demo, man, if you're really on the fence about it.
We will leave it in the description. Kind of on the last thing for tonight, the Arkham Knight trailer. That
we finally saw some gameplay.
Thankfully, I mean the littlest gameplay. But
we're still a little far out.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's either way, man. I'm still super excited.
Can't fucking wait. Arkham City is one of my favorite games ever.
I'm a huge, like, starting with Arkham Asylum, I think I was, like, one of the last people to play it, because I didn't have an Xbox, and I didn't have a PS3 at that time. I got a PS3, like, a year and a half ago, and I love my PS3. I had an Xbox for the time, and I had the Xbox for, like, the shortest period of time, so, I'm not a huge Xbox guy. That's why we got Nicky here.
Yes.
But it's such a great series. That's a game that if you haven't checked out yet, you should. And if you are a PlayStation Plus member for like a couple months ago or a couple like weeks ago, or I don't remember, it was recently. It was free. Arkham City was free. So if you didn't pick that up then, well, you missed out because now you can't access it anymore, which is disappointing.
Also, we're probably going to spoil the shit out of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. If you haven't played it,
we might. Who knows? It all depends.
I'm just warning you now,
just in case. But they're just so good. I played the Arkham City on Wii U, like the powered up edition, and that was fun because I did not have a PS3. I didn't have an Xbox, so I couldn't play it. My PC wasn't great enough to play it. How did you hear about Arkham Asylum?
Arkham Asylum? You couldn't throw a rock without hearing about that game when it was coming out. I remember being like, oh god, this game's gonna fucking suck, because they had not made a good Batman game ever.
I wouldn't say ever.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was gonna say since about it up, but you know what? Ever was funnier, Gage, okay?
Fine, I'm sorry.
No, the one that came out for Sega Genesis that was based off of the animated series was fun. It was like
that's what I heard.
With really great, it was like 3D graphics and weird fucking synth music.
Now, who isn't a Batman fan? So it's definitely one of those games
The Nazis. The Nazis are not Batman.
You are correct.
Fans.
Yes, I apologize to any Nazis out there. I didn't want to make assumptions. I apologize. But yeah, and it's just like an action adventure game. But they've announced 3 villains appear. Well, 4 villains so far. You got Two-Face back, which is cool. I like Two-Face in the games.
Two-Face is probably my favorite Batman villain.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just talking about the games. Like, he's pretty awesome. But from what we've seen him in the games, I think he's pretty cool. Penguin, I like his art style and like the way they had him. Like you had mentioned, you really enjoy the fact that instead of a monocle, it's just like a broken beer bottle.
It's just a fucking broken glass that's jammed on his eye.
And I think
that's so cool. That's such a different take on the character.
Yeah.
And he's British. It's like, we're gonna just completely put our own spin on it. And that's what I love about Rocksteady, is they're just like, you know what? This is our take on the source material.
And it is amazing. Like,
yes.
And I'm not a huge Penguin fan, but these games made me be like, okay, thank you for making up for Danny DeVito. So,
I love Danny DeVito. That's not even gonna get into that. Batman Return rules. Fuck off.
And,
says the guy that likes Daredevil. I know, Lucas, I know.
and then the last one, being, well, I guess Harley. I don't know if...
I'm not sure what Harley's gonna be doing in this one.
Yeah. I don't know. They mentioned her at the end, like, if you pre-order, you can play as her, like, I assume in challenges and that kind of stuff. I don't know what they're gonna do. I'm a Harley fan, so I'm intrigued in what they're gonna do with that. Scarecrow seems to be, like, one of the big villains.
He is the main villain in this game that they're showcasing. He's Joker was Arkham Asylum. He was the main villain, and in this one, he's gonna be Scarecrow is gonna be the main villain. I think we're gonna get a Arkham City kind of thing. Like I said, spoilers, where you have 2 central villains. In that game, it was I want to say Doctor Strange. Yeah, Doctor Strange. Holy shit! I was thinking Doctor Strange Marvel.
Yeah.
Oh no, Professor Hugo Strange. There we go. Wow. Hee-haw. But you had,
I was like, what is he doing?
You had Hugo Strange in Arkham City, and then it turned out to be Ra's al Ghul, who was really leading the strings, and then you had Joker doing his Joker thing. He's like, I'm just going to take advantage of this situation, stir up some shit. I think we're going to get that. Not that exact same dynamic, but we're going to get the 2 villains that are operating on their own intent. You're going to get Arkham Knight, which is the new villain. and you're gonna have Scarecrow, who is just trying to lure the city into chaos.
See, I love Scarecrow, even outside the games. He's really cool in the games. I just love the idea of, like, that's how you can really fuck with someone, like, and taking their biggest fears and just shoving it in their face, you know, and that's...
Right.
And I think that's definitely a really amazing comic book villain thing.
He's one of the best.
And Arkham Knight, which a lot of people suspected to be Batman. Like, they're like, oh, Arkham Knight, because, you know, he's the Dark Knight.
That's what I thought I was going to be referring to.
And apparently it's just a new villain. They said that it's a completely new villain. I mean, I don't know. I assume that eventually he's going to take off the headpiece and it's going to be somebody. I don't know. A lot of people are like, oh, what if it's Joker? I'm like, I don't think so.
If you think it's the Joker, you're a fucking idiot. Oh, Nicky's just kidding, guys. Not No, you're a fucking moron if you think it's the Joker.
I definitely disagree with Nicky. I mean, it's definitely not probable, but I can definitely see how people can see it that way.
Nope.
But, well, we'll see when it comes out. If it does turn out to be the Joker...
I'm gonna I will fucking throw my PS4 out that I'm going to buy just to play this game out the window.
I hope that everyone just sends comments like, Nicky's the fucking moron. So remember this. If it does turn out to be the Joker...
I'm gonna be so pissed.
Well,
I'm gonna be so fucking pissed.
If that's what
that would be like Black Mask turning out to be the Joker. Oh, wait! Those fuckers did that! Oh.
Okay, well,
you continue.
I'll let him take a breather. And so who knows? I mean, there's definitely a couple things up in the air of who it could be. The one I think it's going to be, well, it might be. It's the same one that Nicky thinks it might going to be.
I think it's going to be Azrael, and not necessarily Azrael that we saw in Arkham City, because the one in Arkham City, I forget his name, but it was the black guy that took over for John Paul Valley after they killed him off. I think we might get John Paul as the Arkham Knight, because that was his role when he first came around, was he was this brash murderer, and he did try to kill Batman towards the end of Nightfall, which is a comic book storyline where that was the big one where they broke Batman's back. So I'm really thinking we're going to get John Paul Valley as the Arkham Knight. If not him, my silver medal is Jason Todd.
That would definitely be interesting. I could see it, but that'll be a mystery that hopefully we will not be ruined. That's why I'm not going to check that kind of stuff out when the game comes out, because I don't want it ruined. But
that's why I'm buying the game as soon as I can.
Oh, yeah. The last thing about Arkham Knight that was kind of mentioned and it was in the trailer was the Batmobile. You can call it to you at pretty much any time, it seems like.
Red Dead Redemption style, so you don't have to be searching all over the map for your fucking car.
Exactly. And it looks, I mean, you can get to drive through the city, but there'll be Riddler challenges and all this kind of stuff.
Riddler's back looking like Charlie Sheen, and he's hosting Batmobile races.
And that is, to me, I think is great.
As a means to an end, it'll be fun. From a story perspective, I'm not sure how to work that in, but it'll work.
But this has been the second episode of GeN1. We hope you enjoyed it. Any last words you gotta say?
No. Buy the 2 games that we recommended. Biotic of Iaasc, Hotline Miami. Were phenomenal.
All together, it's like $20 for both games and the DLC, so definitely worth it. I mean, $20 is nothing. That's, a nice dinner is $20. So, well, for normal people, for Nicky, he likes to get a lot of food, so it's probably like
$20 is my appetizers, but play some fun games, everybody. Have a good time.
Definitely. If I want to hear from you guys, hopefully people actually listen and comment. If you had an N64, leave what was your favorite game. If you didn't have an N64, well, there are ways to play N64.
Well, you go down to the corner store and you get some old games, right, buddy?
Yeah, that too, or...
Well, I'm gonna go ride my emu later, so it's all good.
Okay, yeah, you got the emo, so that's good. So anyways, you guys have a great night. We hope that you liked it, and we hope to entertain you for many times to come. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.